Hello, Emil. Today is a special episode because for once we get to take the load off of my mind, and our good friend has a topic that he wants to share with the world with us today, and I'm excited because
Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about for a couple of days, mostly for myself. But when the subject of what are we going to talk about shows up, I've already been thinking about it. So why not?
why the fuck not? And we teased a little bit of the, on what we were talking about beforehand here, which is why you can see I have this. I just searched up the placebo effect. Had AI help us here understand it, what it is. I'm gonna read it off to you because spoiler alert a little bit here, but the placebo effect. And let's go to the how it works section. The placebo effect is not just positive thinking. It involves complex neurobiological mechanisms, including a release of neurotransmitters like endorphins and dopamine, and increased activity in brain regions associated with mood, self-awareness, and emotional regulation. God damn, beautiful. Mind over matter, the power of will. So tell the class what you were thinking about with this your thoughts lately with all this shit.
So I was thinking about the original iteration of witchcraft. Because it occurs to me that a lot of that, like, through the ages, it's been misunderstood, blown out of proportion, and likely most of that is because people are so awed by what you can do with it that they're like, well, can you kill somebody with it? Can I do a little ritual and a dance and kill my enemies? Obviously not. Wicca always had rules, and those rules are mostly the limitations of the mechanism, and by that I mean it's really harnessing the mechanism of the placebo effect, and it really is mind over matter. And
some esoteric 33rd degree knowledge, Freemasonic knowledge, dropping some lore on y'all.
So my idea is,
Lord,
a lot of people, it does, like, these like rituals don't actually do anything, and the reason for that is because it doesn't mean anything to them. What I intended to do for myself was design something entirely original, and I was going to start with mental imaging. Particularly, I was going to start by imagining shame, because I wanted to deal with that. So I was going to imagine shame, and I wanted to try and, like, increase that emotion. Because I don't feel it.
Oh.
Because I don't feel it. So I was going to imagine shame, use mental imaging, maybe some physical things around me, and the point is to create the connection between the images and the ritual you're doing. And the more you do that, the more, like, that connection builds. Especially the physical actions you're taking during the ritual expands the connection with the mental images, and that's the important part.
Shit.
It's the connection between what you're doing and what you're imagining.
On that note, I just want to make mention, it makes me wonder if that's like the whole mechanism behind, like, prayer. Like, and people put their hands...
Yes, actually, it is.
They put their hands together. It's just the placebo effect. I mean, it's not just a placebo. It's a bit more. It's special, right?
Other sources of another proof as to what I'm saying is real is if you look at festivals, like festivals and celebrations, something that was designed for festivals designed for prosperity. I imagine China and Japan for stuff like that. And it's a collective, it's a collective, like subconscious messaging, and the festival itself creates the image of prosperity because everybody believes in it, and so they create their own prosperity by brainwashing themselves, because it is a kind of brainwashing.
Well, let's not call it brainwashing. Let's be more surgical. It's just willful programming of the mind.
Sure.
I think we would. I think we would want a process. I mean, if there's anything to brainwash ourselves, quote unquote, into believing, it's the idea that we could all like live in prosperity. Because fuck the doomerism shit.
So yeah, so those festivals happen, and you know, like they would keep doing it because it works, and it works because, I mean, you know, people are happy, people believe in it, and you know, and they continue that, and the more it happens,
tradition, yes,
the more the connection builds and stuff. And so I wanted to do, and so I call this the original iteration of Wicca. I imagine that early practitioners, they might have understood what it was actually doing, and that's why they had rules and things you can and can't do. But I bet they understood it's about the mind and your own. It's about the mind and yourself.
Oh yeah.
Because even something like trying to do a ritual for love, which I'm fairly certain has rules around it.
Oh, does it now? See, this is where we might start getting into blasphemous territory here. You had a voice crack come out of me there.
Like that, even something like that is actually a self-confidence thing. Like even something like that comes down to a self-confidence thing. And by doing it, you increase your confidence because now you think, oh, I've done a ritual. This is going to work, right? Which, I mean, that makes sense.
Sure.
Because anybody who's ever talked about, you know, how do I get this girl or whatever, be confident, right? That's what people tell you.
Okay, that's fair. That's some small time stuff, sure. I'm okay with that. I mean, you know, I don't really necessarily agree with the idea of pursuing love, but by the way, and side tangent. Speaking of pursuing love, just because this is how the culture frames things, I think it's inherently wrong. But the idea, I really hate that that we have this idea that the pursuit of happiness is enshrined in the Constitution. It doesn't come first, by the way. They say peace comes first before the pursuit of happiness. So you know. Hierarchically speaking, it is a higher priority just by the words themselves. So I just want to make that clear. But the enshrining of happiness as like a right to be pursued above peace is wrong. A lot of people pursue love for the wrong reasons. That's why I got a little sketched out when you was talking about performing rituals for love, and I'm like, oh, what is this?
It's entirely about the mind and yourself.
Sure, but those small self-love rituals, sure, that I understand. That I can understand and get behind.
So, yeah, no, I wanted to do this for myself mostly. Well, because I saw promise in its ability to change. I mean, because it with the minimum amount of science, it's mostly intuition. I'm not gonna say, you know,
fucking intuition.
This
is just so you know. This is like the pretty much the secret knowledge, like the secret societies know about and hail as being like integral for the reasons of their success. So your intuition's not wrong. It's a very natural one, actually. It's one I've already came to.
As far as the secret societies using it go, remember what the festival thing? Because if you can infect a populace with a belief, and then you can expand that with the connections to things happening, and then you can create like an automatic recollection in people. Like when something happens, you can create an automatic recollection of like certain ideas, and I would say that's how they do the magic.
Right. So
They repeat connections, and like those thoughts just become stronger. Which I
right,
mean,
reinforcement
yeah,
psychology.
and it's not even it's not even technically magic, despite saying things like Wicca. Like I said,
No, I get it.
I completely believe that it was misunderstood, because people, like the people not knowing, and then they suddenly come
I think
like
magic.
they're face to face with these they're face to face with these witches that can they can do amazing things. Like these people come to them, and they've got doubt or whatever, and I don't know, maybe they're feeling unhappy, and these witches come out with like incense and a tea, or and they say some words, throw a crystal ball or whatever, and all of a sudden everything's better.
So,
and I can imagine how that would be perceived as magic.
Right. So what magic really is, I think it's kind of dawning on. It just kind of fucking fell upon me from the stars of heaven. It just descended upon me. I think I know what magic actually is now. It's just game theory.
Game theory.
Yeah. It's whether or not you have the mind capable enough to understand the interactions between players at a higher level or not. And so it could be perceived as magic if you quote unquote know more. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, things that make no sense will always be perceived as magic. I mean, we wouldn't call it magic now. We'd call it what it is. We just don't know.
I suppose.
Of course, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that would still say it's magic regardless.
But no.
And I mean, there's not really a distinction. There's not really a distinction anymore.
Probably not. It probably doesn't matter too much. Magic's fun anyway. Speaking of, no, the real seed, the holy grail in talking about all of this though, Emil, is understanding that what you pay attention to is what you give power to.
Sure.
Which is to say, like, in some literal sense, that like the people who are daydreaming about all these fantastical realities, like, it isn't just empty thought. It is thought that went into the creation of the world we see before us today.
I mean, it was those fantastical realities that brought upon the because the warp drive, we've actually developed. We're missing some physical components, but the theory behind the warp drive is all fleshed out. We're just missing some physical components and a ridiculous amount of power. But fantastical things becoming reality.
No, and you can see that, and it's honestly not too far a stretch of a case, because I think geometry is like a math. I mean, it's the language of the universe, right? Like, you could think of geometry as like a primordial manifestation of the physical, right? Like, before it's able to manifest as physical geometry, so to say. If we assume the void is an empty, or it's just pure potential, right? Like, topographically speaking, physics is just like the hills on the geometry that foundationally makes up the world. And I think I'd like to point to computers. By the way, computer science is endlessly fucking fascinating to me now, because all the terminology they use just kind of seems to map onto reality one-to-one in a way that's quite honestly mythical. And What was I talking about? Computer science.
I think you were gonna try talking about how it connects to reality or something.
Right. There's a particular word I was using though. There's a particular word. Completely lost my train of thought, but I could jump on to the next one. The computer world. This idea of memory. So when you look at the definition of memory in computer science terms, it's essentially just the place where information is stored, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think about the place where information is stored. I think about DNA. And there was this there's this child, this 10-year-old child who wanted to study if butterflies keep their memories after metamorphosis. And I think it's interesting that DNA information might encode genetic memory. Let me see if I can find that YouTube video. Genetic memory. I ain't gonna play nothing about it, but come on, genetic memory butterfly. Bull fucking shit, dude. Alright, 10-year-old kid. Scientist. Maybe it'll pop up now. Bullshit again. Genetic memory. Come on, man. This shouldn't be this fucking hard to find. Alright, fuck it. Look, it's out there. I know. No, I'm pissed.
Theory suggesting certain experience, behaviors, or fears can be inherited across generation, bypassing direct experience. It operates through epigenetics, where environmental factors like trauma or starvation alter gene expression via methylation rather than changing the DNA sequence itself. Evidence from animal studies shows that trained behaviors can be passed to offspring. Holy shit.
Yeah, no, but the point is that it's kind of crazy how a lot of computer science terms kind of seem to also describe literal reality, and I don't think that's a coincidence, because what is a computer but a literal attempt at simulating the reality we exist in? It just makes logical sense, does it not? That, like, as we explore what it is like to create a world, that we gain insights into how our world was also created, right?
I mean, it was something interesting. The Interstellar, I think, with the black hole. That image was created with actual mathematics regarding the shape and the structure of the black hole, and they inputted all that into a computer graphics for generating images. They put all that math in for like an actual black hole, and that's where that image came from. Like that's how a black hole would actually look like if you were like up close with it, which is crazy.
Oh, another thing I wanted to say, because I just remembered this thought, but I wanted to say how our what we pay attention to literally manifests reality. And I remembered the other thing I wanted to say, but I'll come back to that. But our attention literally manifests reality, and so you can see how, like, all of the billionaires, right? They're all heavily interested in investing in technology that's going to extend our lives, right? And it's also just kind of been a popular idea, the fountain of youth and immortality. It's always been a thing that's been around for centuries, right? But as we increase our attention, and what is money but an expression of our attention, by the way, how much we're paying attention, literally paying attention to the idea. And if we pay enough attention to the idea of immortality as a collective, suddenly reality moves and it shifts and changes in accordance into a way that makes it possible. You see what I'm saying? And so now I wouldn't be surprised if down the hatch we see the code of immortality getting cracked in our lives. And moving on to the other thought I had, because I don't want to lose it, I want to remember how I was saying how we gain a lot of insights of how reality works by seeing how we create a reality ourselves with computers. Think about how we literally create worlds. We start with the geometry first, do we not? Like polygons and shit.
I mean, we don't use polygons anymore. But we start with the math.
We start with the math, right?
Because any of those engines technically already has all those the mathematics and physics already built in. Right. So when it looks like we start putting things there, like it already has the physics built in.
Right. So
like the
what I'm saying
physical stuff is the next step.
Is that just as math, the relationships between numbers dictate that world, it also dictates this world. Which is why ideas such as like reality rendering itself too. I mean, we see that at the quantum level. I mean, there's so much insight to be gained. Reality's awesome, really cool. So
I would also like to point out at some point, our understanding of physics is merely a translation. It is not the actual language of like the universe. But like physics is our translation. And what I mean by that is there are things we don't know. There are things within the universe that aren't translated yet.
So yeah, I guess you've been lately other thing I want to say about the placebo effect. I also think it's an expression of our freedom of will, our force of will, to just if you're actively harnessing that and like trying to make a change, then that's directly willpower. Yeah, no, see, a lot of people, though, Emil, kind of say free will doesn't exist, and that shit pisses me off, because it's like...
We had that conversation, right? We debated whether or not free will exists.
We've debated we came to many debates about it, and I've had many iterations of what I believed about it as well, for that matter. But no, I mean, our free will, I've said it exists on train tracks, and we have the option to decide what train track we want to follow.
I mean, I think, I think you can expand. I think in certain people, you can expand that metaphor from, train tracks to a forest.
Perhaps. No, I do. I like that. I like that. In certain contexts.
In certain people, you can expand the metaphor into you're walking through a forest. There's clear paths and there's unclear paths, and you could make the choice to make a complete right turn or just make a 45-degree angle directly into wherever, and anywhere in between. Some people do lock themselves into train track decisions, but I think if you have enough awareness, you can enter the forest instead.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what we're talking about. If it's matters of love, I think it definitely makes sense the train track analogy becomes less apt. I do like the forest analogy far more when it comes to something like love, but there is a lot of situations where it certainly is train tracky. But we have free will. That much is obvious. Like we have free will. Like, come on now. Like, our free will is best expressed in art. It's like AI. And fuck all the people. Like, I don't know how like these nerds. I tell these nerds in the fucking comment section that like the fact that AI fails to replicate human art is pretty much proof of our freedom of will, and they're like, nah. That's just not advanced enough, or you don't understand LLMs. And it's like, nigga, shut the fuck up. AI will never eclipse the human creative mind. You see what I'm saying? Like these fucking philosophical doomers who want morality to be subjective. They give me the ick. They give me the fat ass ick. That was a fun conversation, by the way. I didn't think I'd cover all these topics. I also was thinking about some of these things on my mind as of lately. Freedom of will and whatnot. I'm kind of happy I got to talk a little bit about it. You know, especially because of those goddamn furries.
We are running out of time.
Yeah. Do you know how far in the video we are? Probably not.
It should be around 28-ish, 27-ish minutes.
Okay, definitely gotta wrap it up then. So I guess you've said all you wanted to say about your thoughts lately on this matter.
I described it's about the like the connection between what you're imagining and what you're doing, and the ritual itself is building that connection to a point where it becomes like when you start the ritual, you know, whatever it is you've decided to do while you're building your image, it'll become stronger over time.
Yeah.
And so it's important to structure it yourself, because if you don't do that, it means nothing and it will do nothing.
All right. So biggest takeaway: think happy, be happy.
Sure.
Think happy, be happy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this video. We're gonna see you all next time.